There's one trick at CIA that we use to get people to give away their deepest secrets. It has nothing to do with torture. It has nothing to do with blackmail. It's all the more dangerous because at the end of the day, they'll thank you for the secrets they're giving you. The fundamental lesson when it comes to getting secrets from a person is understanding that people don't break from force. It's not like it is in the movies. It has nothing to do with pain or time or water torture or anything like that. People actually break when you can align with their ego, with their identity, with the way they see themselves. It's way easier to get someone to tell you secrets when they trust that you are similar to them. It's actually much more difficult to get someone to give you true fact-based secrets when they think that there's a difference between the two of you. So really the trick to extracting secrets is to extract the self-identity of the target you are talking to. When you can get your target to align their identity with your identity, now sharing their secrets feels like an honor to them. It feels like a gift. It doesn't feel like betrayal. It feels like a confidence, like they are confiding in someone who is similar to them. You've done this 1,000 times where you've confided in someone else, not because they forced you to, but because you thought they were similar to you. You thought they would understand your vulnerability. You thought they would understand your pain. You thought they would empathize with the same thing that you were feeling. It was the similarity between the two of you that made you give away your secrets. So why would it be any different for someone giving you their secrets? In my new CIA memoir, Shadow Cell, which is hitting bookshelves around the world in September, I tell a story about exactly how CIA used this skill to get a high-profile target to give us secrets, to become a traitor against his own country. At CIA, we were working on a case with a high-profile military target, and that target was coming from a country that absolutely distrusted and hated all Americans. We created a case where our field officer connected with that target on common grounds. One of those common grounds was the understanding that you have to protect your own wealth, that you can't really trust your country, your family, your peers, your competitors with the true wealth that you had. Now, all over the world, people are finding a way to decentralize their money. You see the rise of cryptocurrency. You see the increasing use of non-traditional funding mechanisms in finance and banking. For this case, we actually gifted our target a gold coin. Now, maybe a gold coin doesn't sound impressive to you, but to our target, a gold coin manifested several distinct advantages. First, it was a symbol of status. In his country, to actually carry a piece of gold was a symbolic demonstration of wealth. Secondly, the coin was completely untrackable. It had no audit trail. You couldn't identify where it came from, how it got there, or who paid for it. It was the perfect fungible good that had no tracking behind it. So for our target, he had a symbol of wealth that no one could track back to the fact that he was giving secrets to a foreign case officer. Lastly, the gold itself was tangible. It was something that could literally sit in his pocket, something he could hold in his hand, something he could show to his friends and family. That tangible reminder was a constant reminder to him that the case officer understood what actually mattered, understood wealth, understood value, understood the need to be elite, but also discreet. And that was everything that aligned with the identity of our target. And that was how we created a traitor out of a patriot for a foreign country that absolutely hated Americans. At the end of the day, the target didn't see themselves as a traitor. They saw themselves as a friend. And that coin didn't only buy his loyalty, it also helped to solidify his personal identity. Now, I understand you're not trying to make traitors in your everyday life, but there are so many ways that you can apply this principle so that you can connect with a target person, whether that's a client, whether that's a boyfriend or a girlfriend, whether that's a spouse that you've been married to for over a dozen years. So when you're trying to build that connection, what you want to do is mirror the values that the other person has. If they value early mornings, then wake up early. If they value nature, then take them outside. If they value a certain political side, then you want to make sure you understand their politics. And then you want to engage with them in a way that validates their personal identity. You never want them to feel bad or criticized or ostracized because of what they value or what they believe in. So you reinforce it by stating it back to them and constantly validating whatever preference they have. So validate the fact that they eat chicken and not beef. Validate the fact that they like to get their day started early and they don't understand night people. Make them feel like they're special. Make them feel like they matter. Make them feel like they're normal and everybody else is wrong. When you mirror their behavior and then validate their beliefs and values, you end up creating a rich soil to ask for whatever secret you want. You're not convincing them to give away a secret. You're inviting them to share a truth. One of the things that people get wrong about influence all the time is they think that influence is about force, about forcing your will on somebody and beating them into submission. They think that influence has something to do with dominance. It's completely the opposite way. In fact, the key to influence is understanding desire. CIA has a simple recipe that we use to create influence in somebody. And all that recipe is a mix of desire with timing and ego. Let's talk about it. First, you have to understand a person's desires. What do they want? CIA believes that all people are born with a spy secret superpower. For some people, that means they can win deals. For others, they can spot liars. Some can even seduce lovers. I built a free 3-minute test to help reveal to you exactly what your secret hidden superpower is. All you have to do is click on the link in the description below, take the test, and start using your spy superpower to stay ahead of 99% of people. Understanding a person's desires is a way of understanding what will incentivize them to do what you want them to do, which is the very definition of influence. So once you have desire, the next thing you need is timing, because timing of the desire is critical. Just think about how many desires you've had in your life and how many of those desires came and went. Think about all the things that you have yet to desire in your life. You don't even know that you want them right now. So if somebody were to offer you something you wanted 10 years ago today, all of a sudden you won't want it anymore. And likewise, you might be given an opportunity today that you don't value because you haven't come to the right time yet to have the desire. The timing of a desire is what makes the desire feel so valuable. Let me tell you a real quick story. My wife, when she was about 8 years old, really wanted a skateboard. Now, she asked Santa for a skateboard, she asked for a skateboard for her birthday, and she got no skateboard when she was 8. She asked for a skateboard again when she was 9, and she got no skateboard from her mom or dad or any of her aunts or uncles. In fact, she didn't get a skateboard until Christmas when she was 11 years old. But by then, she didn't want a skateboard anymore. She was on to something else. My wife's parents missed an incredible opportunity to build influence and trust with their daughter when they chose not to give her the object of her desire at the time that she was desiring it. In fact, they waited 3 years before they gave her that skateboard. Now, it's completely logical and rational why they waited. They didn't think that she would be safe at 8 years old. They didn't trust her to remember her helmet. They didn't want her to hurt herself. But that's all irrelevant from the point of view of my wife. She wanted something. She had a desire, and that desire went unfilled. Even worse, 3 years later, when they filled that quote-unquote desire, the timing was wrong. The influence was lost. So you not only have to understand the desire, you have to understand the timing that you fulfill that desire. The third and most important part of this recipe is something we call ego. Now, ego is not the same thing as egotism or egotistical. Ego is something that helps all people define who they want to be, to define how they view themselves. Everybody has an ego, from Mother Teresa to Donald Trump. When you can identify how someone views themselves, and then you can give them the object of their desire at the time that it matters most to them, you have a perfect recipe to build incredible influence. Influence you can use to get secrets, influence you can use to get insights, influence you can use to get the outcome you desire. Many of my biggest successes at CIA had nothing to do with force. They had everything to do with influence. Influence of a foreign asset, but also influence of my teammates, influence of my supervisors. I even had to influence my own spouse to leave CIA with me to build a business on the other side. Influence can be just as valuable to you, more valuable than force, more valuable than strength, more valuable than any kind of leverage you can imagine. You can use influence to increase your sales, to increase the conversions that you get from target prospects, to upsell your existing clients into more expensive products. You can use influence to improve your personal relationships, whether you're trying to win a date with somebody who just seems a little bit out of reach, or whether you're already dating someone and you want to make sure that you keep them around possibly forever. Influence is incredibly valuable in maintaining and solidifying those personal relationships. And then, of course, for anybody out there who has ambitions of being a leader in government, a leader in politics, a leader in business, a leader in athletics, you need influence to demonstrate your leadership, because when you lead from the front, you have to bring people along behind you because they want to come. How do you get them to want to follow you? You have to understand their desire at the time and how they view themselves through their own ego. People are not influenced by facts. They are influenced by their desires. By now, you're starting to see that you don't need to force anyone to give you secrets. You can invite them to share their secrets with you because they want to, because they identify as similar to you, because you have gained influence over them by using desire and timing and ego. These skills all wrap together to create something that we at CIA call social capital. Social capital is the most valuable currency on earth, and currency is exactly what I want you to think of it as. Just like you trade dollars to get what you want, and you have a savings account and an investment account, and you grow your actual tangible wealth, you can also grow your social wealth by growing that social capital. You can think of social capital as simple incentives. The incentive to take an action, the incentive that you can use to invite somebody else to take an action. But social capital is also an example of leverage, where you can get someone to take an action when you want them to that may not benefit them. So just like real money, social capital is something that you can use to get what you want and get other people to take actions that they don't want to take. It's a different form of influence. Arguably, it's a more useful form of influence. So the question becomes, how do you build that social capital? You've heard the word rapport 1,000 times, and maybe you even think you understand what rapport is. At CIA, we define rapport as a positive experience with somebody that increases your social capital. CIA trains its field officers to understand that rapport is a process that builds social capital. You have positive experiences with people. You do favors, you give compliments, you spend time in order to increase your banking statement, your balance sheet of social capital. And then, like all capital, that currency actually loses value over time. So you want to spend the social capital that you've saved up as quickly as possible. The way that you spend that social capital is by asking for what you want from your assigned target. Say I'm meeting with Joe, and I buy Joe lunch, and we spend the afternoon joking and talking about all the things that Joe wants to talk about. I validate Joe. I make Joe feel interesting. I laugh at Joe's jokes. Joe feels like I'm a good guy. Now, after I've built all that social capital with Joe, that gives me an opportunity to call Joe and ask Joe for a favor. Ask Joe for a recommendation. Ask Joe for an introduction. And as I'm asking Joe to take an action that I desire, I am actually spending the same social capital that I just built. But what's happening at the same time? As I spend that social capital on Joe, Joe subconsciously understands he is building social capital with me. So this exchange back and forth of social capital is very much like the movement of money in any market around the world. The difference is you and I already know we have or don't have money. We never thought of the fact that we have or are lacking social capital. The people who understand when they're collecting social capital, how to collect social capital, and most importantly, how and when to spend their social capital are the people who build the most influence and the most power in the world. Those are the people that we look at and we wonder, how did they do that? How could they be so brazen? How could they be so bold? How could they just go out and take what they want? Because they already understood they had enough social capital to purchase the thing that they're trying to ask for socially. They built enough reciprocity. They built enough gravitas. They built enough influence that they already knew they were going to get what they wanted. All they had to do was reach out and take it. It's something that is absolutely lacking from any education system in the United States or even in the West. We are taught to think that we should be thankful for everything, that we should be grateful for what we have. We are taught that it's okay to feel lack, when in fact, we should all be targeting abundance. We should be targeting excess. When you have more than what you need, you can always leverage the excess to get more of what you want. At the end of the day, we are all just trying to capture and collect our desires. The same thing that motivates others is the same thing that motivates you. Having the life you want, the family you want, the house you want, the vacation you want. And there's nothing wrong with any of it. When it comes to getting someone to give you their secrets, when it comes to winning and earning trust and influence from a target, it's all about validating their desires in a way that builds your social capital so that you can ask for what you want at the end of the day. That's how you get secrets and insights and power that nobody else has. Once you see social capital at work, once you use it to build your influence, you will never see the world the same way again. Even more valuable, you will never be lacking for what you want ever again. If you've enjoyed what we've talked about here today, you're going to love checking out my new book, Shadow Sell. In that book, I walk you through how we operationally use influence, validation, gravitas, and more to steal secrets from foreign adversaries all over the world. It's a masterclass in how to be a spy in everyday life. Make sure you check it out. You'll find it anywhere books are sold, as well as in audio and ebook formats. I'll see you on the other side.